Innovation is the act of renovation, renewal, and redefinition. Entrepreneurship, which traditionally is associated with market economics and basically a capitalist economic system. Entrepreneurship is better thought of as entrepreneurialism, and that's basically individual action that's associated with innovation. Typically it pays off, hence the linkage, I think, with economics. But for me, entrepreneurship is basically a willingness to risk innovation. Actually, this is the fullest expression of innovation, to reimagine. All of these opportunities are found at boundaries or conjunctures. Interdisciplinarity is a word that universities throw around a lot, but basically I think interfaces is another way of thinking about it. So one of them certainly is in undergraduate residential life, where the interface is between the traditional understandings of the social role of the undergraduate student, or the social realm of the undergraduate student, and the academic realm of the undergraduate students. And when you put together living and learning communities, or you bring faculty into the center of student life, you very much basically find, I think, all sorts of interesting catalytic moments along those traditional boundaries as they come together and they begin to merge and interact with each other. That's one. A second one here at Vanderbilt is on the academic side, particularly among three major pillars of our academic enterprise: our medical center, our engineering school, and our natural sciences, biomedical engineering, medical science, natural science research, particularly in biogenetics, genome structure, that sort of thing. That's a very productive area where no one department would possibly be able to produce the kind of innovation that's actually taking place when you bring a variety of disciplines and a variety of experts together. So that, I think, is a second area. A third really interesting option as well, a growth area for us, especially if you start thinking out over the course of the next 10 or 20 years, is the interface between careers and a liberal arts education. So a liberal arts education, particularly in this economic environment, is in some places under assault. What is the value of a liberal arts education? And how does that liberal arts education connect to careers and to marketplaces? What kinds of contributions can it actually make to the 21st century global economy? Because plainly it's not a national economy anymore, it's a global one. There, the person who is a Spanish major and has a little dabbling of knowledge of international affairs, or a major in language, a major in history, and a minor in business, well, that person becomes kind of an attractive commodity, possibly to a company that's doing business globally or internationally, who's trained, moreover, to think on her feet, who knows how to write, who knows how to critically assess. So I'd say that that's basically also an area where there's a good deal of growth. Our medical center, finally, fourth, and because I think there are more, and you get a variety of different answers. The role of innovation in residential life is empower students. To empower students to own their education, to feel that they actually, in fact, are as much teachers as they are learners, to choose a poor noun. The role of innovation is to actually give students a sense of empowerment. You could also add proactivity. It's a lousy noun that I've come up with and throw in as well. That only makes sense when you contrast it with passivity. I think that innovation in residential life, which is basically forcing us to think about what else do students do at university when they're not in the classroom for the 15 hours a week that they're in the classroom. And given that none of you actually are sleep more than 4 or 5 hours a night, you're up huge amounts of time beyond those 15, 20, 25 hours, whatever they might be. So, I mean, in that sense, basically what goes on in residential life is key. Innovation in residential life requires us to supply students with a sense of empowerment. They're not passive beings, they're active beings. They're not on the receiving end of what the university is extending to them. They're contributing members of a university community. They own their education. And ultimately, for me, as an old-line seminar teacher, a seminar will go only as far as its joint membership, its student members, and its faculty facilitator, only as far as its joint membership will take it. A university community will only go as far as the sum total of that membership of the university community will take it. So we can't afford passive students. We're spending a lot of money and a lot of time identifying promising candidates to come and be members of this. We have to create an environment for them where they feel themselves empowered. Empowered to, and then I would invite students to fill in the blank. One marquee moment I point to is faculty at the center of student life. Secondly, I'd point to the living and learning community itself. And while that comes off in the first instance as boilerplate, so living and learning community, what's that supposed to mean? Well, it means lowering the traditional boundaries between inside and outside the classroom. Great. What does that actually mean? Well, it actually means that old American cliche about live and learn is true. You live and you learn. Okay, well, what does that actually mean? Well, that means that you basically take these houses and you very intentionally craft policies designed to encourage community networks. Thirdly, we spend a significant amount of money on programming. And those programming budgets, which exist in each house and also here in the dean's office, those programming budgets are approved and overseen by faculty members who are responsible for them, but they're deeply informed and influenced by student decisions. The main purpose of the Commons is to establish in the first year a foundation for student ownership of their undergraduate education. What do I actually hope to see in the future? That in 5 years' time and in 10 years' time, it's still regarded as an evolving project. One of our key mission statement nouns, it's the one I love the best, is discovery. Maybe a lot of other people have this as well, right? But what I like best about discovery is it's a very Catholic noun, and it takes in a lot of the action of a lot of different people. So a chemist sitting in their laboratory having the light bulb moment in their research is participating in a discovery. A historian sitting in an archive with dust and musty documents everywhere, encountering a confirming idea in a document is having a discovery. A student sitting in a lounge with a couple of friends talking about a really lousy weekend they had and they wish they had it to do all over again is having a discovery moment, right? Universities basically are about that. It's one of the reasons that all of us, I would imagine even sophomores when you get right down to it, freshmen don't think it's ever going to end. Sophomores already begin to appreciate that it's ending in a couple more years, right? And man, 4 years is done like that. And everybody basically at some point or another will say that, those 4 years were magical and they were gone, boom, like that. And I think one of the reasons that happens is because more often than not, processes of discovery are going on there. If you think about empowerment, right, to give students the opportunity to discover, to learn broadly, right? As so broadly, as a matter of fact, that I'll define it however you want. It goes back to this moment about the infinitive. I'll define discovery however I want, and then I'll invite you to add the additional marginal qualifier. And I'll take that one too, right? Because now that becomes the project. That becomes the definition of discovery. So I would like to hope that that's still going on in 5 years or in 10 years. And that basically whenever it is that I step out of this office, that basically if there's a contribution that I make to the project, it's that we're calling it a project.